Right. Yeah, the reserve with the higher annual fee, I think a lot of people have kind of reconsidered on that card when the points earning just isn't as strong as a lot of the comparable products.
Well, Amex and Chase just absolutely cut them off at the knees by just immediately saying, what? You offer 3 points on restaurants? I'll offer 4 points on restaurants.
Oh,
well,
now
I'll
it's
offer
5.
5 points on restaurants.
Yeah.
It's just such, and for a lower annual fee card to just cut them off at the knees, which is what the Premier is trying to do. Hold on. All right. In August, it's going to be 3 points per dollar on air travel and hotels. So like most of travel for most people.
Okay, so
3
that's
points. Go ahead.
That is a change from what it was before.
Oh yeah.
Because it was just travel in general, so now there's a little bit of a restriction on the triple point category.
But it's still 3 points per dollar on gas stations.
Okay, so they did keep that one. That's good.
3 points per dollar on restaurants. That is a total fuck you to Chase.
That's new. That was double before.
And 3 points per dollar on supermarkets for a $95 card. That is a total fuck you to Amex.
Yeah, that's really...
Look at
And you know what's funny is... So you've got a minor negative change on the travel category, and see, they don't have entertainment listed anymore.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's gone.
That
you used to get
one is
extra
gone.
points for like movie theaters and amusement parks and shit.
But in the grand scheme of things of how people normally spend their money for a $95 annual fee card, if you know how to make good use of your thank you points, for a single card, this is probably the most well-rounded.
Yeah.
You just don't see bonus categories like this with that many earning 3 points per dollar for $95 a year.
Yeah. And I would recommend this as a card for people to start out with, except I still recommend Chase to start with because of, first of all, the damn 524 rule, which was totally a tactic to get people like us to recommend it, and it worked like fucking gangbusters. And because Ultimate Rewards points are easier to learn how to use, you can cut your teeth with it. You can always cancel the cards later.
Right.
And because there was another reason. I'm losing my train of thought. Oh, yeah, because right now, you know, this podcast is dated, but right now the Freedom cards are offering a better sign-up bonus. I just recommended that one of my friends start with the Freedom Unlimited because it's offering a 20,000 point sign-up bonus. And at that rate, you can spend $4,000 on that card and still be ahead compared to the City Double Cash.
Right, yeah.
Because $4,000 at a half a point a piece means that you're ahead of 2 points per dollar, which is what you get for the City Double Cash.
Mm-hmm.
I think that ultimately, I'm going to recommend that people start with Chase, and if they don't want to move on, then they'll be in a pretty good position. But if they do want to keep building, ultimately we're all headed to City unless Chase ups their game, which I kind of expect them to because they can't let this bullshit stand. They just got shanked.
You know, it's hard to say what direction that's going to go. And the reason I say that is I don't think that Chase, at this point, not yet, they don't necessarily have to match the other cards in the earning department because they have name recognition with their transfer partners more so than any other transferable points currency. It's like, as long as they still have the monopoly on United, Southwest, and Hyatt, which are our three very recognizable transfer partners and in the only truly useful, valuable hotel partner, having that, it doesn't force them to compete in the transferable points landscape as much as it forces competition between Amex and Citi, who have a lot of overlap in transfer partners.
Right. But if people hang around with me long enough, I think I'm going to get them to Citi. But the recent restrictions in travel and the scattershot way that airlines have responded to refunding or crediting you for the tickets you purchased really make me miss the fact that Citi eliminated travel insurance on both the Prestige and the Premier, which I think happened before coronavirus, or at least it was announced before coronavirus was a thing.
Yeah, this was it was sort of unprompted. They gutted all of their like side benefits to their travel cards without any real direct reasoning behind it, and it's harder to justify booking your flight, even earning 5 points per dollar on the Prestige with that card with no travel protection whatsoever versus earning, say, 3 points per dollar with the Sapphire Reserve and having at least some kind of travel protection in place.
Right. I mean, I could give numerous examples. We've talked about them before, but just imagine right now if you had a flight booked with United and they decided to reschedule it and wouldn't honor it as a cancel and you need a cash refund, booking with travel insurance might be your only option to get that cash back. I mean, it's the kind of thing you don't want to need, but I've needed it. And if you travel enough, or if crisis hits right when you least expect it, then that's when you're happy that you have it.
Yeah, how's that saying go? Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah, I think that's what they say about condoms. No, wait. It's better to have it and need it.
I'm just not going to make a pull-out joke right now, so...
Well, you're a role model for the kids there, Carson.
Right, absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Right. I want to kind of bring this in. I almost said bring this in for a landing, but I'm not that cheesy yet.
So punny.
Thank you, Carson. I wanted to kind of circle back to my question of if you had one last flight to take, where would you go? I mean, would you peace out of the United States and live abroad? Put your BMW acumen to work in Germany, the fatherland?
In my head, I always feel like that potential is there where I've spent my whole life living in the States, so the thought of living someplace else, there are a lot of elements of that I find appealing. But at the same time, I've also never been anywhere else very long term, not long enough to deal with any of the negative consequences of moving to a new country. So without having an experience to really say for sure one way or another how I would feel about that, there are definitely some places that I think would be cool to live for a variety of reasons. I think New Zealand seems like a really cool place to go, and New Zealand has, I've looked into it.
We have very opposite goals for the last flight ever.
Sure.
Just like, get me where I'll never be bothered again. You sure you don't want Fiji or
well,
one of the unpopulated Hawaiian Islands or Micronesia?
New Zealand is very, very different depending on what part of it you're in, but as far as the realistic stuff of getting to New Zealand and staying there, getting work visas for New Zealand isn't incredibly difficult. They have job shortage lists that they publish, and if you're in a certain field or trade that's in demand for a specific area there, it's a lot easier to get some kind of work visa for that country. So for me personally, having a mechanical background, there always seem to be job shortages in automotive mechanics and electrical and things like that. So it wouldn't be terribly difficult for me to get there, I don't think.
Very practical. I'm a very unpractical person.
What?
Right? Who knew? You could not tell by looking at me.
That doesn't make any sense. You were just telling me how you were ordering wine in bulk now. That is very practical.
It is very practical. Thank you for noticing. Shout out to Wines on Sale, because I was tired of showing up with predictable bottles of wine at the parties that are no longer happening, and was tired of going out to the grocery store every time, and Instacart doesn't deliver wine.
Now you can surprise yourself when you drink alone.
Yes, that's true. So, yeah, I mean, I'm organized. That doesn't make me practical, but I got to go Europe, and it almost doesn't matter if we're cheating and saying you can still ride on trains. I think the trains have a much lower carbon footprint than airplanes. But if we're living in a world where we're just like, you know what, we don't want to operate as many flights and they're going to be really expensive and you can't fly as much, then I got to go to Europe so that I have at least all of Europe and the Middle East and North Africa within train and boating distance. I think
that makes sense.
I think I could swing that. And that would more or less be writing off South America. And that would be troubling too, because I would be away from my family. I mean, if I was just living somewhere and taking as many trips back to the United States to see my family in San Diego, then that would be a problem in and of itself. But I also think about how much I've got to live my own life. And if I'm breaking out of this lockdown with several international trips a year, then changing it to one international flight per year, and then the rest of my international trips are taken by train and boat, I think that would reduce my flight footprint just in terms of quality of life, in terms of experience, and travel and travel in terms of seeing the world. I think that Europe is still a way to go. But I'm also easily charmed by pretty buildings and pretty people and pretty paintings and works of art. So
the superficial elements will draw you in.
Yes, absolutely. And they might even sustain me.
That's kind of just travel in general, though. It's
And the real thing that we all have to think about is a notion that was put out, I forget by who, but in the wake of Anthony Bourdain's death, and it might have even been Bourdain that talked about it, about how the world becomes easier to get depressed the more you travel. And that you're just kind of always auditioning different homes or seeing what is over the next horizon, and the real food for the soul is to be found in picking a place. And I'm pretty happy in the place I'm in, but my ability to escape and see something new is a big part of that. So if I had to pick one place, that's what my fucking coronavirus soul searching will be all about. Because right now I'm going to say it's Europe, but it could change on a dime, because that's just how it goes if you have the fucking travel bug. You never know what the mood is going to strike you for next.
And your free trial of North America has gone on for a really long time.
Yeah, I've been paying that annual fee for a long ass time. All right, we should wrap this up. Carson, it's so good to see you. Glad to see that you're safe and well, and hope everyone in your family and all your friends are the same.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to be out of the house for a few minutes.
Right? All right, let's shut it down.